When I started covering DSP, the legend of his resilience seemed the stuff of fiction. I have to say I am now a believer. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, and we are talking about, once again, DSP's bankruptcy, although this time it is resolved. And he got his Chapter 7 discharge of debt. Look, if you like these quick legal updates and hot takes or whatever, hit like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Let's get right into it. DSP's debt is discharged. Now, this is any debt that is not taxes, student loans, or a lien that has been placed on some piece of property. For example, his 2 condos both have mortgages on them. Those are a lien. Those are secured. So those cannot be discharged through debt. And as we know, MidFirst Bank also was exempted from the bankruptcy proceeding and is allowed to go ahead and pursue a foreclosure proceeding if they want to do that. And I believe they've already initiated that, if I'm not mistaken. His car loan, similarly, is a secured loan. It's secured by a lien on the automobile. And so that, of course, will not be impacted by this. However, all of the consumer debt, all of the credit card debt from the documents, looks like all of that is discharged. It could be exempted by the court and therefore subject to repayment, but we don't have any documentation at present saying that has happened. So imagine here, I'll show you. This is the document. It's very basic. Philip Burnell, 5/6/20, that's today, has a discharge is granted to Philip P. Burnell by Timothy Dorr. And there's some info here, but nothing special. The debts that cannot be discharged are here. Domestic support obligations, alimony, child support, of course, student loans, taxes. Bankruptcy court can decide they're not discharged. We don't have any documents deciding that. It looks like they just went with the form discharging of the debt. Debts for fines, penalties. This would be criminal debts. If they didn't list any debts on their bankruptcy, then those are not discharged, right? It's only the debts that they listed in the document. So if there's some secret debts or whatever, those wouldn't be there. Loans owed to pension, profit sharing, stock bond. We obviously that's not a thing here. And then debts for death or personal injury caused by DUI. So that's it. Valid reaffirmation agreement, of course. If you say you're going to pay it back during the bankruptcy and then it gets discharged, you don't get to undo that. And it doesn't stop creditors from collecting from anyone else who's also liable. So if you're jointly liable for a debt, like you bought a car with someone else, an ex or something like that, then you still have to pay. Or a credit card that's in the name of you and your ex. Those don't get discharged as to the other person, only as to you. So there's not much to this document. So let's get rid of it and let's just talk for a minute. Imagine you are this person. Imagine that your claimed income, the best case scenario for you, is somewhere along the lines of $60,000 a year. Now, not only has the government decided that you can't pay back the debt you owe, but they decide that $60,000 a year, roughly, is below the median income enough to discharge the debt, that you are in poverty at $60,000 a year, that you're actually in poverty making $5,000 a month. And that's just what you claim. And now imagine the basis of your insolvency is you include a mortgage that is under foreclosure that you haven't been paying as part of the basis for your monthly expenses. Now, further imagine that your job, which generates this $60,000 a year, actually generates $100,000 to $120,000 a year but you claim it costs $5,000 a month to run, and that job is sitting on a greasy couch with a PlayStation 4 controller in your hand and getting yelled at by your neighbor for being too loud. Like that is the state, the absolute state of the US bankruptcy system, is that somehow a guy whose expenses involve maybe an internet bill, and that's it, come out to $5,000 a month with an additional $5,000 a month in expenses, personal expenses that no one can explain other than by using 2 mortgage payments, one of which just isn't being made. And now all of that debt that you accrued is discharged. And you have just explained Bankruptcy 101 to the average American. I mean, you've done it. This is how the system works. It's geared to allow you to get away from debt. The punishment Phil will have is, roughly 7 years of terrible credit with a bankruptcy on his credit. His personal lines of credit will be closed down. But I have to stress this. Phil has a high cash income job. High cash income straight to him in cash, effectively. He gets, Google AdSense pays him, and then he has PayPal and any payments from Patreon and stuff like that. He has a high cash income job, and he has lowered his expenses as he had already done this, of course, by not paying the mortgage on the other property. Does this mean that Phil is completely out of the woods? No, not really. Phil will have to deal with the foreclosure. Once that property is foreclosed upon, there is a very real possibility that MidFirst Bank will pursue Phil for costs in excess of what they recover from the foreclosure auction. We already know that the property is valued at $60,000, and his outstanding debt on it is somewhere near $110,000. And then there will be extra foreclosure costs and costs of sale included in that. And so it could be a substantial amount of debt that gets stacked on to Phil, but he's eliminated all of his other payments. He's freed up a massive amount of cash now. Because remember, those $5,000 in expenses also included the payments for that personal debt. So it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing what can be done when no one actually cares. So that's it, guys. I don't really have anything else to say. I am now a full believer. I'm a full believer in Darkside Phil's resiliency. I think he will survive every nuclear holocaust. He'll be around long after we're dead. He won't even need a Futurama head thing to carry him around. He'll just live on forever, attached to the couch and peeing in people's mouths or whatever he likes to do. I mean, that was him saying that, so I don't know. But congratulations, Phil. I'm happy for you, buddy. Very interesting to follow this case. There could be some post-judgment filings, and we'll watch for those and see if anything happens. But other than that, it seems like Phil's bankruptcy saga has come to an end. And so now we need some videos out there, I think. This is how you do play U.S. bankruptcy. Peace. Peace.